Are you still the same team? Welcome to After Hour Happy Hour. We are your chaotic but cathartic co-hosts. I'm Jamila.
I'm Vicky. I'm Sharon.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to part 2 of Startup. So if you watch our previous episode or listen to our previous episode, if you haven't, you should. So we made a bet on how the ending was going to end, and I lost a bet. So my punishment was to draw unibrow for this entire podcast. And if you're on the video version, you can already see it. And I definitely recommend going on the video version because honestly, I look pretty cute with a unibrow if you ask me.
See, the funny thing is Jam was the one who suggested doing a punishment, and then she suggested this punishment. So that was all on Jamila.
You look great though.
Recap, the bet was who we thought Taimi was going to end up with. Jam was wrong. But yeah, you look great.
Thanks. Yeah, if anyone wants to shoot their shot, never mind.
You tried.
Moving on.
Are you guys still on the same team now that we finished the whole show?
For sure. A team HJP all the way. I called it from the start.
What about you, Sharon?
Yeah, I'm Team HJP.
Okay, Vicky, you said you had, what's it called? An epiphany.
I had an epiphany. So. I am both teams now. But you know what team I'm not on? I'm not on Dalmi's team. I realized that they're both amazing guys and they deserve the world in their own way. But freaking Dalmi kind of like dragged it out. I feel like she knew that she liked Namdo-san for a while and she never said anything even though she knew both the guys liked her. So the whole time, especially the last 2 episodes, I was like, bro, can you just tell HJP that you don't like him so he could move on instead of having these 2 guys fight over you? And I was so annoyed that she didn't say anything, and I get she was trying to do her company stuff, but at the same time, she thought about Namdo-san all the time.
No, I agree. Something happened where I really liked her character, and then towards the last few episodes, I was like, you're kind of getting annoying. So I definitely feel that. But I feel like we need to backtrack a little bit and talk about what you guys thought of the last 4 episodes because a lot happened.
But I feel like a lot of unnecessary things happened. They could have wrapped those 4 episodes in 2.
I feel like I went on a really big roller coaster ride and I took very, very detailed notes about what happened. And basically, I got like the NDS and Darby's chemistry, but I was still mostly Team HJP, right? But in episode 13, when NDS came back, I was like, oof, he looked kind of good. And he carried himself very well. Like, I feel like he was a lot more confident in terms of his character development and his progress. He really, became a man, I guess. I really enjoyed that. And I found myself being like, oh, I want them to kind of run into each other with the whole elevator scene just to see what happened. But then, I was just so triggered by the way Dalmi kind of handled things and also triggered over the fact that nothing really happened in the 3 years. You did not need to take that 3-year break because it was basically the exact same thing. So I was like, what was the point of that at all? I don't know. I feel like it just started going extremely downhill.
Dude, I feel like I have so much to say, both on relationship side, why I think that this ending was the ending that I wanted it to be. But also for HJP, I felt really bad. And also the way they wrote his character did him no justice, if you know what I mean. He got no better end of the bargain. And every time he was made to look bad, it would also clarify his character later on. And I'm just like, pick a side, either make him bad or make him really good. Because if you go back and forth, it's like the leading, what is it called? The second character syndrome or whatever.
Oh, second lead syndrome.
Yeah. And I feel like they didn't know what side to let him be, and so it was a lot of back and forth.
He carried this entire drama in terms of he created this entire story, but in the end, he got absolutely nothing.
Dude, HJP was done so dirty.
Yeah.
You're telling me that nothing happened in the 3 years. Literally nothing. Where 3 years later, they still carry this awkward kind of tension vibe when they're together. Even though he comes over and makes food with Tarmi and the grandma, you think no conversations were made during those 3 years. I think that's so BS. So, yes, Jamila?
And the day he freaking decides to be bold and go get like, was it a ring or a necklace? Freaking Dusan comes back and then he calls himself a loser. I'm like, no, you're not a loser. Ji Pyeong, you come to me. You're a winner.
But also, why did he wait 3 years to make a move? What was the whole point of 3 years if he didn't make a move?
Well, let's ask the writers.
Right? I totally agree with Sharon. There's no point in any character leaving for 3 years in the show because nothing changed.
See, I think I would have been still triggered, but fine if, let's say, HJP and Tarmi had a thing during the 3 years, or there was some sort of lead up, because the entire drama revolved around which team is Tarmi gonna pick, right? So it was always kind of like push and pull, or at least that's what we thought was gonna happen, but it was always NDS. It was never for a moment that I was like, oh my god, HJP's actually gonna win. And
Wait,
so
there was
I felt
one.
different about that.
It was during the ransom attack. And remember how there's one scene Dami was about to call Han Ji Pyeong about the ransom attack? Because then I think the day before, Ji Pyeong was like, I wish I could be the one that you call when something happens.
no, but that's because she thought that she couldn't, of course, go to Tosan because she didn't think that he was here. So it's almost like HJP was still the second choice. So I feel like HJP was never given that opportunity to actually make his case or be with her. And then, like I was saying, I would have been fine had they had a thing for 3 years or whatever. And then she ultimately still picked Tosan. But he never was with her. So I'm like, what was the entire point of having this NDS versus HJP rival going on when literally it was always NDS in the lead? I think that's why I'm so triggered at the screenwriting aspect of the drama, of how it ended.
But you know, for a split second, when Namdo-san was questioning Dalmi's feelings and he was like, why do you like me? And he kept thinking about those 3 reasons she said, and because of the letters and because of him being there during her hard times. That whole 5-minute scenario, I was like, oh my god, HJP is gonna win because they keep referring back to a time that he was there for Dalmi when Namdo-san wasn't. And so that whole time I was really afraid that Dalmi would figure out, oh, it's HJP all along and I'm just confused about my feelings. And that was the one period of time in the show that I was afraid that she was gonna end up with HJP.
Unfortunately, that didn't happen.
I'm glad it didn't!
You're okay with how it went? Like how it ended?
I kind of wish that it was how we saw it, where she was like, fuck you guys, I'm gonna go to America and do my own stuff. But I'm very happy with how it ended, especially that scene where Namdo-san and HJP became friends. That was so cute. Oh, okay, Sharon doesn't agree.
Okay, see, for me, it's more like, once again, if HJP was completely out of the picture, I would ship NDS and Tarmi pretty hard, because she named her auto-driving or self-driving car company Tarzan. Basically, in Korean, it sounds like you're saying, let's get in the car, like the English to Korean translation. But also, the story goes back to when Tosan first explained to Tarmi what AI was, and he used the story of Tarzan. So it all came back together, and there was a scene where I think Tosan stitched a plant thing for grandma, and grandma was saying thank you for making Yoongil and blah blah blah, and it was super sentimental and cute, which was why I'm like, if it was strictly them two, I ship it. But every time there's still an HJP scene, I swoon. Do you remember that scene where Taimi was crying and she was in her office and HJP came in and she was like, I don't want anyone to see me crying, and then 2 of her coworkers were walking in and he ducked her head under the table and was like, just stay here until you're good. Things like that, I'm like,
dude, that's what I was saying. I was watching that scene, and you know the scene when she was in the car, she was banging her head against the car window, and I was just thinking, yo, HJP is here and has been here for your absolute worst times. Yes, Doosan has been here to, I guess, save your ass, but HJP has been consistently at your side at your absolute worst moments and you feel comfortable being around him at these moments.
Okay, that brings up my point of I do believe that both of these guys are good for her. They have been there for her for so many situations. Homegirl has been through it. She has so many problems that come up that needs somebody to be there for her. But at the same time, HJP is exactly what Jam said, comfortable for her. And I don't think she needs comfortable. He will always be there and in the background for her and provides comfort and safety. But at the same time, I don't think that's what she needs, and that's why she ultimately ended up with Namdo-san, because she, as we said before, has such a wild, chaotic kind of character that she always needs a thrill and something to do and all these challenging moments. And so I feel like being with Namdo-san gives her that, versus for HJP, it's comfort.
I feel like Tarmi almost dated HJP through NDS. For example, even till the end, HJP was the one that had to tell NDS, like, stop feeling inferior to me. If you really look at Tarmi, you'll know who she likes. He had to be told that to realize Tarmi actually likes him. So I feel like a lot of his actions were prompted through HJP telling him what to do. So I'm like, this girl pretty much dated HJP just through NDS, if that makes sense.
I don't agree with that, because I read a whole article about this. So everyone has been trashing on Namdo-san's personality and how he's so weak and he's so beta compared to Dalmi, because she's very alpha-like and she's driven. But for him, he's justified to feel how he feels. First of all, he did get this chance with Dalmi because of HJP, so obviously he's going to have more insecurity even though he knows his own feelings, right? He really likes Dalmi, but at the same time, all of this wouldn't have started if it wasn't for HJP. So it's a given that he's questioning, oh, does she even like me for me, or is it because she thinks I am this person that I'm actually not? And that's why he's questioning and doubting. And when Dalmi said those 3 reasons, 2 of them were about HJP and not him, like actual self. And so to feel that insecurity and needs HJP to push him is totally fair, I feel like.
I strongly disagree with what you said, because I feel like still, ultimately, HJP's actions spoke louder than his words, versus NDS, he was all talk. Or most of the things were all talk and the actions had to be prompted by someone else, whether that was HJP or whether that was his friends. And in every situation, NDS just spoke words about, I'm gonna do this for Tarmi, I'm gonna do this for blah, 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 I'm gonna do this for her. And I'm like, okay, take a step back, relax. Like, do you actually want to do this because you want to do it, or is it because of this girl that you so-called love or whatever? So he says all these things while HJP may not, but his actions are there. So I'm like, I don't know about that.
I'm reading the article that defended Namdo-san because I fully agreed with this article. But I think it was more so justifying for his awkwardness and shy and insecureness more than justifying his relationship with Dalmi. Because I do agree that without HJP, they wouldn't have a chance together at all. But that's not the scenario, and they have a chance. I do believe that Namdo-san is a better match for Dalmi than HJP.
I agree with that statement just because I feel like HJP deserves someone better.
I also saw somewhere that he was also done dirty because he could have potentially ended up with the sister. Did you guys see anything like that?
I didn't see anything like that, but I thought about it at that one scene when they were outside the office, when they were kind of talking, and I was
because of the interview.
There was a video that HJP did in an interview, and he also said he agrees that Dalmi should be with Namdo-san and not HJP.
If it's a video from the swoon, it was the one I sent you guys, and then I said, oh wait, did he just spoil the ending? That was before the actual ending came out. But he basically said Dalmi is destined to be with Doosan.
Yeah, no, I think episodes 1 through 9, I would have said, oh, I think Tarmi should be with HJP. But after episode 9 to 16, I'm like, yeah, she can go with Tosan. I don't really care anymore. I was so heated at the last scene when it was NDS and Tarmi walking hand in hand. And then the sister came in. And I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. Like, character development. And then HJP walked in right next to NDS and Tarmi. And I was like, you're really going to have him walk out like that? Next to the girl that he loves and the guy that he lost to? Like, what?
But it was so cute. That ending when they had those pictures of them in a wedding dress and stuff. That was so cute. Wow, I wish you guys felt the same way as I did because it was so cute.
I like this scene where HJP went to Dusan's house and then he went to a check of pajamas and he starts spinning around.
When he was drunk.
Yeah, and then Dusan asked his mom for something that HJP liked to eat.
See, I feel like in certain aspects, everything tied in together, which I do still like aspects of the show, right? Also, side note, Jan tagged us in a meme where it was like Tarmi looking back at NDS and HJP, but the last scene was just HJP looking back at NDS and like shipping them two instead. And during that scene when they were drunk and they were almost like bonding, I was like, yeah, I don't care about the girl. Them two can just be BFFs, and it was so cute.
Yeah.
But in terms of like everything coming back together, I feel like NDS and HJP could have been good friends had it not been for Tarmi. And I think it all came together in the end when he personally invested into that young guy who started the orphanage connection company thing. And it was almost like another version of NDS. And I was like, oh, okay, like that tied in well together.
Do you guys know that guy is the voice of Youngsil?
Oh yeah, that's why he had that like shook, oh, like I'm gonna invest in you personally, because it was Youngsil's voice and he resonated with that a lot. It took me a minute to understand why HJP reacted the way he did when he met up with the orphan guy.
Wait, what? How did we know that?
HJP offered to personally invest into that orphan guy's project because he spoke, and then HJP was shook and was like, oh, that's Youngsil's voice. They didn't specifically say it, but you could see in his expression that he was shook. And then he said, I'll personally invest into your company because he resonated with it and it was Youngsil's voice.
Oh my god, I didn't know that. I need to go back and watch that scene. What? Okay, and also I feel like the part where Namdo-san and his two friends went back to their rooftop office and then 3 other guys were moving in and it was like full circle. See, I think in those aspects, I still really liked how the directors wrote it out.
Dude, I wish they marketed this more for those side relationships than a love relationship, because even though the whole story is a love story, the side stories were so much better. Like the 3 friendships, Namdo-san and HJP and the grandma and the mom. All these side relationships were so much better than the love triangle.
Yeah, I feel like I enjoyed almost every aspect except for the romance between Dami
the issue?
and Dusan.
Dami.
Even when the older sister Inje finally came to see the grandma, even though she was completely blind. Oh, and then also when it was the last family scene where I think the grandma was seeing the family reunited again, but also in the younger version of everyone. Yeah. And it was like, fuck. This is all over the place, but also the scene when the grandma came to HJP's office to bring him food, and then she was like, wait, he was saying something, and then she was like, wait, are you going somewhere? And then he was like, no, where would I go? And then she was like, I want you to stop being lonely. Please don't be any more lonely. And they were just crying in each other's arms. Like,
dude, see, that relationship is so freaking cute. I wish they gave him a better ending.
You know what romance I do ship though? Chusan and I forgot the girl's name.
I was reading a Facebook post that a guy did where he basically just analyzed everything, and something he said I felt was true was that relationship, Chulsan and the girl, they could have made that happen a lot earlier and there would have been a lot more funny moments throughout the whole like last 4 episodes instead of just the one last episode. I feel like the humor in the show died down a lot the last 4 episodes and it kind of played more serious than it did humor, and I wish they chalked up the humor at the end since they did such a good job in the beginning.
If we didn't do this podcast, I don't think I've finished the drama.
Really?
I still think it's really good.
Oh, dang.
Remember how in the last episode you asked if I think it was comparable to Crash Landing, and I said, oh, I don't know yet. I got hooked into it really easily, but as it progressed on, especially at the 3-year mark and on, I was like, oh, hecka no. Like, Crash Landing is so much better.
Oh, hecka no. Startup would have such a better ending if they did a huge plot twist after episode 12. Like, if they just flipped everything and changed the entire storyline, I would have been mind blown. It would have been like Breaking Dawn Part 2 mind blown.
Wait, I have a huge comment to make. The last episode we did, we predicted what was going to happen, and Vicky got everything spot on. I don't know if you remember exactly what you said, but I wrote it down. You predicted that HJP wouldn't make a move until NDS showed up in Korea because he always stays kind of like behind the scenes, and you felt like if he pursued her, then he would get in the way of like her professional aspirations. You got that so spot on because he was finally making a move with the necklace or whatever it was. And that was when NDS showed up. I was shook. And then you said that Youngsan, which is the guy whose older brother like died because of quote unquote of HJP, that he wouldn't be vengeful at HJP when he comes back because he would have proved him wrong. And so that scene where that guy and HJP finally resolved things and HJP actually gave him respectful and honest answer without being, I guess, cruel was, I guess, the full circle. Vicky just kind of got everything right in terms of predictions. So I just wanted to give a shout out to you on that one.
I'm a scriptwriter here. It was so predictable. The way that they angled every character, and there were so many foreshadows to tell you what the ending was going to be. And that's why I say after episode 12, if the screenwriter just fucked it and was like, let me change up the whole story, I think Startup would have been even better because everybody was kind of expecting this ending already, that if they changed it up, it would have blown everybody away.
That's what I was betting for. You know, Dami just leaving. The guy comes back vengeful.
Or like they slept together and had a baby. Or something like that.
Girl, what?
Who had a baby?
Like if that was the storyline, like she's just so confused, and then she had a drunk one night stand and then got pregnant. What happens after that? Like, bro. I will say character growth was pretty good though throughout the whole thing.
I will say I'm thankful that I watched it because I know who HJP and who the actor is now.
True.
So I'm thankful for that. But from a drama perspective wise, it wasn't up my alley and I could have skipped it.
I think I would still rank it relatively high.
I loved it.
Well, that was our take on the last 4 episodes of Startup, and unfortunately, it wasn't that great for 2 out of the 3 of us because Vicky is questionable now. Just kidding. But that was our analysis on Startup. Let us know which team you're on, HJP forever, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.